is a presentation of the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports.
Day 2 of the ACC Tournament from Phillips Arena in Atlanta comes to quarterfinal Friday. The top 4 seeds prepare for the championship run. Top seed, North Carolina, takes the court first as they take on the Maryland Terrapins. The ACC quarterfinals gets underway right now. Good if he got it! Zero shots there. Good shot! 4 games down, 7 more to go as we work our way towards the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship on Sunday. Well, folks at FanFest, it's a little rainy, but I tell you what, they are still having a great time here. Lots to see and do around Phillips Arena at the ACC Tournament. We have had a great crowd here today, and quarterfinal Friday is supposed to be good, and it has been so far. We're ready for game number 2. Will be our look at the 4th seed, the Virginia Cavaliers, who had 22 wins, their most since the 82-83 season, taking on NC State, a team that beat Boston College yesterday to get here. NC State, the number 5 seed. And when you talk about Virginia, Corey, you have to start with Mike Scott. He's the primary reason they got those 22 wins.
And Mike Scott has been on fire all year and came back for a redshirt senior season and really been the leader of this Virginia basketball team and doing a lot of it with the jump shot. Probably the best 17, 18-foot jump shooter in the league, and has really taken this team and put them on their back, especially late during the season.
Now, when they played NC State earlier in the season, it was a 1-point game, 61-60, Virginia won. C.J. Leslie led the comeback in the second half, and he had a good day yesterday in the first round of this tournament.
Well, C.J. Leslie changes the game on both ends of the floor, similar to what John Henson does, and the thing for C.J. Leslie is to continue to play for 40 minutes. When he's engaged and involved in the game, North Carolina State is a completely different basketball team.
You know, and maybe an X factor in this game, you talk about Leslie and the way he played. Richard Howell had 18 rebounds when they played in the RBC Center. He had a double-double. He could be a big factor today for State.
And no question about it. State, of course, they're similar to Virginia, only use about 7 to 8 players, so they're both going to have to be able to play and control the tempo the way they want to conserve some of their depth.
Corey, it seems that everybody has a tough time playing Virginia. What makes them so hard to play against?
Well, it's the pack line defense that was created by Dick Bennett, not Tony Bennett, but created by Dick Bennett and perfected by Tony at the University of Virginia. And what they do as a defender, they make you guard. And if you're an offensive player, if 5 people are guarding you at one time, they give you no lanes to the basket, and everywhere you go, there's going to be a body close to you. They make it very tough for you to get inside their paint.
And let me tell you, Virginia's hungry. They won this tournament in 1976. Last time they made it to the quarterfinals, my buddy here was on the team, Corey Alexander. It's been a while.
Well, Mike Scott is playing at the same level as Junior Burrow was at that time, but they're going to have to find Corey Alexander to be able to come away with a tournament title here.
That's impossible to come up with a Corey Alexander. Well, the band's up here. They're tuning up. The crowd is filing in. We're getting ready for game number 2 of quarterfinal Friday.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by BB&T, by your local Toyota dealers, by Food Lion, and by AT&T.
And the Braves Museum, I think he's the greatest baseball player of all time, Hammering Hank Aaron. Certainly a legend here in the Atlanta area. Corey, Virginia is the 4th seed, their highest seed in 5 years. They beat State by a point, 61-60 earlier this season. How do you think today's game's going to go? What kind of game do you expect?
Well, it's based upon who is able to control the tempo, and for Virginia, they want to get Mike Scott established early. But one thing about NC State is they don't have to help on Mike Scott because C.J. Leslie is one of the very few guys capable of guarding Mike Scott one-on-one.
All right, now let's get Corey's 4 keys to this second game of quarterfinal Friday.
For North Carolina State, it's going to have to be a consistent effort. They got a little bored with Boston College yesterday, allowed them to come back into the game. They have to play for 40 minutes against this Virginia team. For Virginia, it's going to be just that, controlling the tempo. They only have 7 players, maybe 6.5 with Joe Harris playing with the broken hand. They have to be able to conserve energy and control the tempo.
And, of course, this game has all kinds of NCAA implications on it. Both teams feel they need a win. And to call the game, they've had a chance to catch their breath. Now we'll send it back over to Tim Brandt, the G-Man, Mike Cheminsky.
All right, Mike, thank you very much as we get ready for this. The 4 and 5 seed, NC State, Virginia. Virginia comes in, a little bit more rest than NC State. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, again, I think, Corey nailed it as far as the tempo is concerned. I think if this game gets into the 70s, it's an advantage North Carolina State. Below that, lower 60s, Virginia. But the game that they won in Raleigh, Virginia shot the 3 very well and then also won the free throw battle. So that's going to be a key.
Corey also mentioned that Virginia has been really, the roster is down to 7 guys really that can play. I mean, Senna's not back. He's out now for an policy infringement. He's been suspended for the rest of the year. You look at Brogdon. Brogdon is hurt. Joe Harris is back, and we'll see how that hand is. But it's one of those situations. They don't have a lot of bodies.
No, and that's, again, why I think they want a slower tempo style of game. They're going to be deliberate in their offense, run through things, take some time off the clock, try to shorten as much as possible, where conversely, NC State wants to get out into the open floor, push the tempo. That's where they are at their best.
Take a look at the Toyota brackets. We'll update you on the tournament thus far. North Carolina advances in this game. They had 5 guys in double figures beat the Maryland Terrapins 85-69. And other than the 14-4 run, where Maryland cut it to 7 in the second half, really, Maryland never threatened. This was Carolina all the way.
And they were able to do it essentially without John Henson, who hurt his wrist early in that game and never really got back in. And Tyler Zeller was in foul trouble, but they had other people who stepped up and filled the void, most namely James Michael McAdoo, who had a terrific quarterfinal game.
So Carolina advances to the semifinals. They will now await the winner of Virginia-NC State game. Virginia and NC State, the 4 and 5, coming up next. The quarterfinals roll on with game 2 as the 3rd seed takes the court. Virginia's Mike Scott has been the man for the Cavaliers. The senior looks to cap off his final season with Virginia's first ACC title in 36 years. NC State is hoping to improve its numbers to make the NCAA tournament. Yesterday, C.J. Leslie and Scott Wood helped the Wolfpack's cause in their first-round win over Boston College. We'll see if they can move into the semifinals. The starting lineups and the tip-off coming up next on the ACC Network. Virginia Cavaliers starting lineup. This is your Food Line starting lineup. Jontel Evans is your guard. Harris has the injured hand, but he starts. Sammy Zaglinski's your three-point threat. Scott and Mitchell up front. And, of course, Mike Scott, everybody's all-ACC player from Charlottesville, 18 points, 8 rebounds a game. It's not a long bench when you think of the Virginia Cavaliers.
No, and I think really that Sammy Zaglinski is the X factor for that team. 4 threes in that first game in the win against North Carolina State.
Lorenzo Brown starts at the point for NC State. C.J. Williams, number 21. Wood is your three-point shooter. Leslie and Howell up front. Couple of big bodies. Let's go over to Debbie Antonelli. Debbie?
Well, guys, Scott Wood, the 6'6 junior for NC State, has been one of the best three-point threats all season. He's led the league in three-point field goal percentage. Yesterday, with his 5 threes, he moved into 3rd on the career three-point shooting list. In the last 3 games, he's been terrific. He can get a 3 in transition, or he can get a 3 off screens. Lorenzo Brown and company do a great job of finding him in the open floor as well as finding him off screens. And when he plays off a down screen, he's very good at acceleration, setting his feet, and finding the rhythm, guys.
All right, Debbie, NC State with that record of 21-11. They won yesterday. Virginia comes in. This is their first game of the tournament. They got a bye in that first round after the overtime win at Maryland last week. Cavaliers 22-8, 9-7 in the conference this year. The officials for this game, Brian Kersey, Tim Nestor, and Brian Dorsey.
Tim,
Stians over there waiting.
Yeah, you look at Virginia. I think they're one of the best and most cohesive defensive units in the country. You know, not with Sen out, they don't really have a shot blocker. They bend, but they don't break. They make you take tough shots, and they get the rebound.
Virginia held 11 teams under 50 points. The Hoos are second in the nation in scoring defense, and they will have it first here as the ball went out of bounds. So Jontel Evans will run the offense for the Cavaliers. Man-to-man for NC State. This is Harris. Nice pass underneath. The bucket will count the foul, and Akil Mitchell will go and try to make a three-point play.
Well, Mitchell's role really expanded when Sen went out, and this was a terrific pass by Harris inside, almost missed the finish. But early foul trouble. We talked about it. NC State can't absorb fouls on the wing position, so if Williams or Leslie get in trouble, that's going to be a problem.
Williams had the personal foul. Mitchell makes the free throw. And it's 3-0 Hoos.
The emotional leader of this defensive unit is Jontel Evans. Really can guard the point. That's what Tony Bennett loved about him right from the start. Gets right up in your shirt.
Here's Hal underneath. Strong move to the hoop.
And conversely, I think for NC State, a good philosophy. They want to attack Mike Scott inside, try to pick up some fouls on him. They can expend some energy on that end of the floor.
Jontel Evans almost turns it over. C.J. Williams on Zaglinski, so you got a bigger man on the three-point shooter. Now he frees up. Here he is beyond the arc. And Hal with the rebound. Brown will take it right to the basket, and he's fouled.
Well, here's the look inside, and sets the screen and then gets the pin and gets Mike Scott on his back on the angle to the rim inside. Good look, good post feed. This team, NC State, they don't want to play in the half court in this game, Tim. They want to get out and run, and you saw Lorenzo Brown. He is so much more efficient in the open floor. See his numbers against BC in the first round, 12 points for him. 8 assists, only 3 turns.
Tied at 3. The foul was on Jontel Evans, his first, obviously. Brown has another one coming. He's a 74% free throw shooter, the sophomore from Roswell, Georgia. And he misses that one, and Mitchell has the rebound. Harris against Wood.
Well, you'd love to see Harris healthy because that matchup is 2 great scorers guarding each other.
Evans turns it over. And how about this pass to Williams underneath? Misses it. Great pass by Brown. Zaglinski brings it right back, looks for Mitchell. Left alone at the top of the key.
Those are the ones in tournament basketball. You've got to convert layups like that.
Here's the guy everybody's watching. Scott takes it on the little reverse dribble, and he is fouled. Foul will be on C.J. Leslie.
Well, you know, you look at this Virginia team, Tim, and you say, who would they start for around the league, around you know, other teams? And there are maybe that guy at the free throw line, probably the only one.
Great credit to Tony Bennett there. You got to look at the Virginia head coach.
Yeah, and they play as a unit. Do an incredible job as 5.
His 3rd season at Virginia. Came from Washington State. Son of a coach. Terrific coach. Dick Bennett. Second one comes back out. Still tied at 3. Virginia ended the season with a heartbreaking loss to Florida State, 63-60. And an overtime win at Maryland. So they feel like they've got to get a win here at the tournament. Leslie into the paint. Howell gets him, bails him out. Little short jumper.
You can see they play such great help defense. They cut off driving lanes. Right about that 17-foot mark. That's the Alamo.
Back to Scott. He'll fire for 2. His first bucket of the game. Mike Scott out of Chesapeake, Virginia.
Really has added range to his game over his career.
Wooden Award guy, mentioned also in the Oscar Robertson Award. Here's a block by Mike Scott. again. Gets it back to Zaglinski. Kicks it out to Jontel Evans. 2-ball.
A really nice find by Zaglinski. That time was cut off on the baseline, but knew he had an open shooter.
Another turnover in the outlet to Zaglinski. Just like that, UVA out to a 9-3 lead over the Wolfpack.
Well, we talked about it. The higher seeds have come in here even with the off day yesterday and gotten off to a quick start. North Carolina did in the first game. Virginia looking very fresh here early.
Now tries to work the pick and go. Instead, it's Leslie with a real nice bank. Harris picks up his dribble. Back to Zaglinski. Mike Scott. Williams doing a nice job on Zaglinski, taking away the three-pointer.
Yeah, and also that time, Mike Scott, although it was a nice move. I like him catching the ball in motion, a little bit tougher to defend.
Boy, Brown almost stepped on the line here. And this is going to be called on Zaglinski, I believe, for hanging on the wood around the pick. Great Scott. He's off to another one of those days. Had 33 last week. Jontel Evans adds to the lead, and the Wahoos are out to a 9-5 lead, 15-39, thanks to this basket by C.J. Leslie.
Inside 16 minutes to play, Virginia with an early lead over NC State. And before the basketball game, I got in the locker room with head coach Tony Bennett from the University of Virginia. I asked him about the game today. He was concerned about his team showing up with energy. I would say they've done that so far. He wanted to make sure his team met NC State in transition, didn't just get back and build the wall. He wanted to be able to meet them instead of at 19 feet, to meet them at 23, Mike, because of their great three-point shooting. And he wanted to make sure they rebounded. And just so you know, G-Man, he did speak to his dad today, but it had nothing to do with basketball. It was about the golf game.
Yeah, Dick Bennett, one of the great coaches, really from Wisconsin, went out to Washington State, and then Tony got that job afterwards. But you knew, I played with him when he was a rookie with the Hornets, and he knew he was going to be sitting on a bench someday as a head coach.
He's a good one. C.J. Leslie makes it a two-point game.
And that's that 23-foot wall is meant for one guy, and that's Scott Wood. That's who I'm sure was right at the top of the scouting report.
6 of Virginia's 8 losses have been by a single possession this year. 5 of them, they had a shot at the end to win it or tie it. Wood shot draws iron off his first. Zaglinski down to the baseline, back outside to Evans. They turn it over. Howell right to the rack, and it's a tie game.
Those are the plays that Virginia's going to have to minimize. Those live ball turnovers into points for NC State.
Back out to Harris, over to Scott. Scott hasn't had a clean look yet. Everything's been contested, as you expected to be all day.
That's a good matchup for NC State defensively.
Another turnover for the Wahoos. Williams. And NC State has its first lead of the game. It's an 8-0 run by the Wolfpack.
Tony Bennett not happy with the turnover situation here early. NC State being very opportunistic.
NC State has the size advantage. Played yesterday. Boy, Jontel Evans was left alone. Didn't even look at the shot. Now he takes it into the paint and has it blocked.
That's the size advantage with Lorenzo Brown. And you know, you look at Jontel Evans, that he is not a shooter. He's more of a scorer. But what a terrific block by a guard.
Talked about a fatigue factor possible, although NC State did have an easy time with Boston College yesterday. And even Virginia with a short bench. This is their first game. Harris looks at his first shot, has to readjust and get it to Scott. Shot clock is at 5. I don't think they recognize it. Now Evans does. Throws up a prayer, and it's not even close. Shot clock violation.
Yeah, not a good offensive possession for Virginia. Just a small point. This is because of playing in Phillips Arena. The shot clock has a 1/10 of a second on it. I think that's something that college should consider going to everywhere.
Wolfpack by 2, trying to extend their lead. Wood.
It's interesting. They got Zaglinski guarding him instead of Harris. He's been able to go out and contest just about every shot, even though he's shorter.
Three-point shooter on three-point shooter. Another turnover by the Cavaliers. That's 5 already. Ahead to Leslie. Falling away, makes the basket. He'll go to the line for one more. C.J. Leslie. Boy, he continues to get better and better.
You know, you get frustrated with him. He can make spectacular plays like that, and then there are times in the game where he'll just drift and lose his concentration. But that was a terrific catch, and he absorbed the contact and was able to finish the play.
Last year, C.J. Leslie averaged 11 points a game. He was an all-freshman Atlantic Coast Conference. This year, he's averaging 14.7 rebounds, but he misses the free throw. Paul Jesperson now in the ball game for Virginia.
There's a little bit of a walk.
And they're going to call the foul on Painter.
You know, the thing, and Corey touched about it before the game, of trying to get Mike Scott established here early. He's only got 3 shots in the first 7.5 minutes. Expect him to get more touches.
Here he is. Just takes the jumper. That one's a little bit short.
And I think, you know, he hit one earlier, but I think he bails guys out by taking the shot, especially Painter. He can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim.
C.J. Leslie with a rebound, spins and takes it at the rack. Bucket, one more coming. He has 8 points already.
By far their most athletic player, and he has really thrived in this system. For Mark Gottfried has bought into what he does, and there's a lot more structure this year than there was last year, and I think that guy has benefited more than anybody.
He's still only a 62% free throw shooter. And misses. Mike Scott throws it away. A little bit out of sorts after a quick start. Virginia now struggling against NC State. 15-9, Wolfpack.
After a slow start by NC State, they've gotten back in this game with a 6-point lead because of C.J. Leslie. He has been perfect so far in this game. 4 of 4 from the floor, 8 points. 5 rebounds as well. He is playing inspired basketball in the first 8 minutes of this game.
Well, Virginia hadn't scored since the 16:46 mark. And it's a 12-0 State run.
The number that jumps out at you right now, 6 turnovers in the first 8 minutes. They had 11 turnovers in the win at Raleigh for the whole game.
Alex Johnson now at the point for NC State. Goes inside to Leslie. There's the run we were talking about. Over 5+. Shot clock down to 10. Johnson recognizes it. Takes it to the foul line. This is a 2. Bottoms.
Alex Johnson has been really important to this team. It allows Lorenzo Brown to move off the ball and be a scorer, and he really, that possession wasn't going anywhere, and he bails him out with a jump shot.
Evans with a nice drive. He ends the drought. C.J. Leslie, great position down low, calling for the ball. really feeling it right now. And again, he takes it right around Akeel Mitchell, and he's in double figures with 10 points.
NC State is really hammering away, looking to post guys up, either Howell or C.J. Leslie.
Leslie and Mitchell really chirping at each other. Here's Mike Scott. Loses his balance on the way to the basket, and it's knocked out of bounds by NC State. So Howell will come into the game, and Leslie will get his first break.
Yeah, you can see the good post position right there. There's some, you got a hand up on the post feeder, but the nice wraparound, it's a lost art feeding the post, and C.J. Williams did a nice job of getting Leslie the ball inside.
Scott for two.
I think maybe getting a little frustrated working inside, so he's taking his game out on the perimeter.
The steal by Evans. Cavaliers on a little bit of a run, cut the lead to 4.
Yeah, it's a good defensive team, and they're not built on steals, but C.J. Williams, that was a lazy cross-court pass. That was just the first pass to the fast break. You got to be careful with that.
That'll get Scott Wood off the bench. He'll come over to check in. This is Painter. And again, Brown takes it to the lane and a little looping one-hander.
Just with the size advantage, if he can get into the paint area, Jontel Evans is not going to be able to handle him. I like the cover with Williams on Zaglinski. He's got the size. He can really get out and bother his looks at 3.
Here's Scott again. A little bit strong. Boy, NC State, they are big, Mike, and very athletic.
Well, and they're unique, too. They can score at every position. All averaging in double figures.
Nice move by Johnson and the dish. Boy, that was way too easy. Richard Howell standing all alone, and little Alex Johnson got it to him.
And that's the one thing that really will get to Tony Bennett, when you can break his team down off the dribble and get to the rim. And NC State has consistently done that. Their bigs are doing a nice job shaping up. Leslie with 10 points. Howell with 4 now. Pardon, 6.
Parents, register your child today for the ACC Kids Club. Children 8th grade and younger will enjoy outstanding benefits in this club. All you have to do is visit ACCKidsClub.com to register your child now. We strongly urge you to get your kids involved in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Quarterfinal Friday, 8:51 to play in the first half. NC State out to the 23-15 lead. NC State has hit its last 7 field goals. Brown already has 5 assists. So after that early Cavalier run to start the game, it's been NC State taking control.
And he's out on the floor, and Joe Harris has really been hampered by that left hand injury. He's still playing, but really not himself.
The foul, Mike, is on Lorenzo Brown. That's his first. You can see Harris keeps that left hand still heavily taped with a pad. Closed captioning for ACC basketball provided by Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. It's bow time.
And it's too bad, because he's got one of the prettiest shots in the game.
Scored in double figures 20 games this year. And he has 2 points here this afternoon. The average is 11. He's got 2. Six-point lead by the Wolfpack. State really believes they can win this game by going down low. Here's Howell, gets caught in the air. Johnson left alone, and he walks. Boy, he looked at the 3, tried to pump fake and left his feet. That's 3 turnovers now for NC State.
And because of the post play for NC State, they're Virginia compelled to double big. Mike Scott coming out of the game, but Mitchell came in, and it just takes more offense off the floor for Virginia. But you've got to give them a rest at some point. They're going to try to get him around this TV timeout, give him a little extra break.
When you think that sophomore guard KT Harrell left in December after he had started 5 games, Malcolm Brogdon, the freshman, he injured his foot. He's out the rest of the year. Of course, Hassan Sen, he had that ankle injury January 19th, and he's out. And then he got into some trouble, broke a team rule, and so he's out for the rest of the season. A very depleted roster for the Cavaliers. Williams for 3.
Now, if they can recognize that double team is coming big, and Leslie was open on the other side of the floor, instead of settling for 3s, try to work the ball to him.
One thing about the Cavaliers, they don't panic. Been in a lot of close games this year. Here's Evans into the lane, kicks it out. Jesperson back to Mitchell, and Evans left alone for the 2. And a whistle and a foul. Timeout on the floor. 7 minutes to play in the first half. It's quarterfinal Friday. And the Wolfpack lead.
Let's take a look at the AT&T fast analysis. And in this game, it's points in the paint for NC State. A big advantage there, 18-8. And it's been C.J. Leslie and Richard Howell that have been dominating things inside. Good strategy by the Wolfpack, understanding that's where they have their advantage and taking it and really exploiting it. Neither team's hit a 3 in this game, and I think that's to the disadvantage of Virginia.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. 7 minutes to play in the first half. Low scoring start here, 23-17. Harris around the rim, and Mitchell follows. And Mitchell will go to the line for one more.
Well, that was just the Wolfpack standing around looking at the basketball. Mitchell was the one who was hustling for position, just got right into the front of the rim. You got to put a body on people, just not try to out-jump them.
That's 2 on Richard Howell, so Painter will come into the game. Howell will go out. Theo Mitchell, a 51% free throw shooter. Looked pretty good on that one.
And that's Howell, and if he's had an issue this year, it's been picking up cheap fouls and getting on the bench a little bit too early.
Cavaliers have clawed their way back. 3-point lead for State.
After his big game yesterday, Scott Wood has been very quiet in this game so far.
Here's Leslie. Leslie almost loses it. Johnson for 3. Yes! There's your first 3-pointer of the game.
He's capable, 32%, so you have to honor it. But his strength is in his speed, breaking people down.
This is the lead back to 6. Evans with a quick jumper.
That's where, you know, with Lorenzo Brown out now, he's got a smaller cover on him, and he's got to try to exploit the strength advantage that he has against Alex Johnson. Needed to convert that shot.
Wood for 3.
Every shot of his has been contested so far in this game. 0 for 3.
Mike Scott is ready to check back in, but he's still out with only 4 points. Harris on the baseline is fouled by Leslie.
Tim, this is right now, this game, it's Virginia is just kind of grabbing control of the tempo. They're lulling you to sleep. They've lulled the crowd to sleep. And this is right in the range where it benefits them. Now they'll be in the 1-and-1 the rest of the way.
Mike Scott comes back into the ball game. You're right. Harris goes to the line.
And then 1-and-1.
Harris, pretty good free throw shooter.
Well, that's the, you know, he can get there. He can set the ball in both hands, and that injury should not affect his free throw shooting.
Misses it, and Johnson pushes it. Now we'll reset. All of the Virginia success this year has really been set up by their defense. And they extend that defense out on Johnson. Makes him adjust the three-pointer. Good save.
The big key in this stretch, they've kept NC State out of the open floor. And they are not as effective in the half-court set. And Virginia can play and defend that way. And they've really calmed down the Wolfpack out in the open floor.
Over to Scott. This is for two, and he buries it.
Nice play by Harris that time. That's one of the best looks that Scott has gotten in this game.
4-point game, 4.5 to play in the first half. They double down on Painter and kicks it back out to Wood. To Johnson, and it's taken away by Zaglinski. 2-on-1. Nice job by Wood.
That play right there is because Harris can't handle the ball with his left hand.
Crowd wanted to walk. Tony Bennett wanted to walk. Painter gets the bucket.
Yeah, and that's a shame. I mean, just Harris couldn't control the ball with his left hand, and he gives up a steal and 2 points the other way.
Harris knocks down a three.
Yeah, good catch and shoot, and he's the guy that can bust up the zone. Mark Godfrey changing things up. The Wolfpack in a 2-3 zone, and Harris got a good look.
Harris now with 5 points. Painter. Yes, sir. He can hit that shot. His foot was on the line. That's a 2.
He's expanded his range, and these are big minutes for him with Howell out of the game. They need some offense from him.
Out to Harris for 3. And again, Harris knocks it down.
They're going to change it. I think Brian Kersey said it's a 2.
Boy, I'd like to take a look at that. He was right there near the line. But again, it's the defense by Virginia that's keeping them in it. You are watching the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. Take a look at our Haviland defensive shield as we have a 3-point ball game. And we were talking about 3-pointers, Mike.
And you see the lowest in the ACC tournament history, Georgia Tech 0 for 3 in a game against the Cavaliers. The teams today have combined for 2 of 11, so not finding the net. And Scott Wood has really been kept under wraps in this game so far.
Mike,
0 of 3, all of those were 3-point attempts.
During that timeout, they did look at the video to see if Joe Harris had a foot on the line. He had a toe on the line. John Madry, keeping our numbers, said he should have trimmed that toenail today because he was close, but it's a 2, so they still trail by 3. Hal and Leslie having their way inside.
Wow, that's again Lorenzo Brown back on the floor. That was a beautiful pass inside, trying to establish Richard Howell and see if he can stay on the court for the last 2.5 minutes, not pick up another foul.
Mike Scott backs his way in. That's a tough 2 right there. Good, strong power move.
He has just carried this team this year. You talked about all the things that went on, but the one constant has been the first team All-ACC selection.
And that ball's last touched by Howell, so Richard Howell knocks it out of bounds.
Yeah, here's the look, kind of a screen, and Howell got lost down low. And this is just big man basketball right there. Painter, he got the catch in deep, one power dribble and goes up strong.
Good first half, quarterfinal Friday here in Atlanta. This game, well, both teams want to get to the NCAA and both feel like they need another win. That's 8 turnovers, though, for Virginia.
Nice help that time by C.J. Williams.
Scott Wood for three. Virginia led by 6 early. Biggest NC State lead has been 8. Both teams struggling from points away from the basket. Here's Scott.
That was a nice defensive play by Mitchell, having a sense, having his head turned around. He got the hand up in the turnover.
Akil Mitchell came to play today. He's got 8 points.
Yeah, perfect from the floor and from the line, and made a nice defensive play the last time down.
Mitchell has averaged 3 points this season. He's already got 8. And NC State wants a timeout. Mark Gottfried says, give me a 30. Raycom Sports and the ACC have unlocked their archives with over 150 basketball games, and all can be seen for free at the ACC.com. One of the classic underdog teams of all time is in the vault. Number 4 seed NC State survived and advanced through the championship game against Ralph Sampson in Virginia. The Pack's Thurl Bailey scored 24, Sidney Lowe at 18, Derek Wittenberg 15. State beat the Cavaliers 81-78. Relive and share your favorite ACC moments at the ACC.com/vault. I don't think Terry Gannon got double figures that game, but that was a quality team.
Well, people don't realize that they had to win that game to get into the NCAA tournament. They don't win that game, that miracle season ends right then.
No national championship.
Yep. Yeah.
I tell you, it was a team that played with a great deal of emotion, and they got that from their coach. Coming up at halftime, a reminder, we'll have analysis, highlights, stats, and a whole lot more for you all. Coming up, the Hardy's halftime report. And here's Joe Harris. And Joe Harris is fouled by Williams.
Well, this is, you know, they've had scoring droughts, but Virginia is just, they're playing their game. They're methodical. Not getting rattled, as you alluded to earlier, and right here at half at a score that really suits them.
Well, I agree with that, Mike, 100%. Harris just kind of easing into this game now, has 8 points. Shot clock is off now, 31.8 seconds left in the half. We're tied at 32. And Virginia has its first lead since it was 9-7.
And then Harris has really found his game, too. He was limited early, but nice contributor, 9 points for him in the half.
Final 15 seconds. 10 seconds left. Wood to Johnson. 5 seconds. 2 seconds. They've got to let it go. Wood, it's good if it goes. Yes, sir. 3 ball and 1 more.
Well, they played it great all the way to the end. I really didn't think anyone was going to come to this possession, but it was a nice dribble and throw behind for Wood, and that was even a contested shot. And what a way for him to get a little momentum going into the second half.
And Wood makes the free throw to convert the 4-point play. So a good finish to the first half on quarterfinal Friday in the ACC Tournament. NC State 36, Virginia 33. The Cavaliers jumped out to a 6-point lead early. NC State came back, led by as many as 8. Virginia just taking the lead back, and then Scott Wood with a dagger at the end.
Yeah, and NC State took advantage of the inside. They got the ball in the paint, and I think they're going to have to get back to that philosophy in the half court, but really they've got to try to get out of the open floor.
You believe the way this game is going, though, that really helps Virginia.
Yeah, scoring-wise, although that 4-point play made up a lot at the end. I'm sure Tony Bennett not happy about, one, the momentum that it gave Scott Wood, but also the shot in the arm that NC State got as a result.
You mentioned the shot was contested. Scott Wood, like a sniper, comes with that three-pointer at the end. He gets fouled, and that's their lead.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Gatorade, by your local Toyota dealers, and by Haviland.
Hardee's presents the Hardee's halftime report. Try our Southwest patty melt with jalapenos. It's a spicy twist on a classic burger only at Hardee's. It was 33-32 Virginia. Scott Wood with a 4-point play. NC State led most of this first half thanks to C.J. Leslie. Corey, he was 5 for 5 in that first half.
He was, and the game changed when C.J. Leslie picked up his second foul with about 5 minutes to go in the second half and had to go sit down. Virginia was able to make a run, and Joe Harris had a lot to do with that.
You know, Joe Harris hit a shot down at the other end, and I watched Tony Bennett, and he turned to the bench and said, man, he's tough. He really is playing with a broken hand.
He really is, and he's limited. He's had a number of turnovers because he can't handle the ball very well with his left hand, but once he gets into his shooting pocket, you can count it.
Well, Mike Scott doing as expected, and Virginia not letting NC State pull away at all in this first half. I thought they did a really good job of hanging close and then taking the lead there in the final minute.
They did, but of course we talked about really the best three-point shooter in the ACC, Scott Wood, and only one field goal in the first half, but it was a huge one, a 4-point play to give NC State the lead going back in the halftime.
We expected a close game. We got it. Hey, you need to see what's happening in the ACC? Haviland brings you highlights from every ACC basketball game. Visit the ACCDN.com or the official ACC mobile app for the latest highlights and video. We've had a lot of highlights in this first half as well. Scott Wood hitting a shot at the buzzer. And we've got, a basketball game going on at halftime featuring all 12 mascots. It's a little 6-on-6 there. Who are you taking in this one?
I got to go with the Wahoos, baby. No question about it.
Well, Cav, man, has just hit a bucket, and you talk about big plays. How about Scott Wood? That was a 4-point play, and it gave NC State the lead here at the break. The official ACC mobile apps presented by Haviland and Outback Steakhouse are available for your Android, iPhone, iPad, and Windows Phone from Nokia. Watch live ACC Network men's basketball games and daily video features. Visit the ACC.com/apps to download today. Well, here in game number 2 of quarterfinal Friday, we have got a great game going. As you can see, Corey and I got the best seat in the house right here courtside with the mascots playing behind us right here. A lot of excitement with those mascots, I might add. Well, this is the second game today, and in game 1, the top seed North Carolina advanced. There were a lot of stories in that game, but how about the double-double from Kendall Marshall? 13 points and 12 assists.
And one thing you'll see, the common denominator in all of these highlights is Kendall Marshall is in either passing or scoring the basketball, and he's in complete control of that North Carolina offense. Showed up, shot the ball very well today, but it's his passing that really takes him to another level.
And Corey, that set the ACC single-season record for assists. Here's our Nissan scoreboard, and you see that North Carolina final over Maryland. Some other scores, Michigan State, a winner over Iowa, no surprise there. Also on our Nissan scoreboard in the SEC, Kentucky looking pretty good over LSU today, and Indiana, Wisconsin are at the half. Hey, that's our own Tommy Kane out there broadcasting the mascot game. He's a mascot for Raycom Sports and the ACC Network. There's a lot of great food here at Phillips Arena. Corey's going to get some here right after our halftime. We're back with more in a moment. James Durbin, our American Idol, in his song Stand Up, helping us all through this tournament. Joe Harris leads Virginia with 9. C.J. Leslie leads NC State with 10. Corey, you said before the game Mike Scott was going to be a big key. I thought he played well in the first half.
Mike Scott did play well, but he got a lot of help from his teammates. Virginia had a number of guys stepping up and being effective in the first half. Mike Scott went to work as he normally does, but North Carolina State made it difficult for him, and they came off other people, and Akil Mitchell took advantage of that. He was able to get to the rim, and Akil Mitchell also with 8 points in the first half.
And then on the other end, NC State led by C.J. Leslie.
And C.J. Leslie was a man in the first half. Had to sit down for the last 5 minutes in foul trouble. But when he was on the court, North Carolina State was a different team. And it's going to be interesting to see how this goes in the second half.
Here's our first half stats. Both teams shot the ball pretty well from 2, not from 3. That was a different story.
And that's very rare because Virginia is a much better shooting team from 3 than they have been inside the line. And they're going to need 3-pointers in order to be successful.
The ACC Digital Network gives fans access anytime, anywhere. The ACC Men's Basketball Tournament has reached the quarterfinals, and we invite you to join host Kyle Montgomery and former Georgia Tech star Drew Barry as they break down each matchup and preview the semifinals tomorrow. Visit the ACCTN.com for all your highlights and in-depth analysis. Well, Tim and G-Man ready to go in the second half on the other side. We'll see you after the game.
ACC Basketball is brought to you by Hyundai, by Geico, by Hardee's, and by your Carolina Ford dealers.
The Coca-Cola display here at the Phillips Arena. Coca-Cola, of course, right down the street here in Atlanta. What a great history they have had. 3-point game as we get ready to go in the second half. And Mike, you look at the game, Virginia had a tough time stopping C.J. Leslie. He was just unstoppable early on. 5 of 5 from the field, got 2 personals and disappeared.
Yeah, and I think what they have to do is go back and reestablish the post with Howell and Leslie inside. Try to get out in the open floor for Virginia. They were really sloppy with the basketball early on. They need to take better care of it.
Debbie was working during that halftime. Debbie, what'd you find out?
Well, it sounds like Mike Jaminski talked to the coaches himself. When I talked to Mark Godfrey, he said absolutely that's what they're going to do. They're going to get the ball inside to C.J. Leslie. They need to continue to find him and let him go to work on the interior. On the other side, Tony Bennett said exactly that, Mike. They've got to do a better job in transition defense, more ball reversal in their offense, and don't be surprised to continue to see the double team coming because Tony Bennett understands his defense was exposed on the baseline.
All right, Debbie, Virginia got out to an early 6-point lead in that first half. Then NC State came back, built an 8-point lead of their own. Game was tied when Wood hit that shot right at the buzzer to end the first segment. NC State has it first here in the second half. Leslie had a good look, and he has his first miss from the field today.
Virginia really kind of playing halfway, did not commit to an all-out double team, and Leslie able to get into the middle of the paint, needs to convert those. That's when he's normally going to put down.
Dontel Evans takes it, and he's fouled. So Jontel has a chance to tie the game.
Well, like most players, if they get to their strong hand, they can have a better chance of finishing. And he just really went by Lorenzo Brown. Brown trying to rely on his shot blocking ability to save that play, but it was a good high shot off the glass by Jontel Evans.
Jontel Evans had at least 5 assists in 12 games this year. Makes the free throw. That's the 4th tie of the afternoon. Mitchell extends his defense on Leslie. Williams gets in a little bit of trouble. Shot clock at 10. Shaky possession for NC State. Brown down the lane and is bailed out with a foul by Jontel Evans. That's his second.
Here's the play. Richard Howell getting in, really saving that possession for NC State. It all started, really, it was a subtle thing, but Joe Harris did a nice job of denying the entry pass, and that's what really bogged that possession down.
So Lorenzo Brown goes to the line, a 74% free throw shooter. He's been right at the top of the ACC in steals. And he misses the free throw. The winner of this game moves on to play Carolina. North Carolina beat Maryland in the opener. Brown makes the second. Mitchell has played well. He's been very active for the Cavaliers.
He's already doubled up his average in the first half with 8 points. And did a nice job on the boards as well with 6.
Scott, turnaround jumper. Blocked. He wanted a foul called. None was. And the Wolfpack will reset. So Brown brings it way out front. And takes it in and scores. Yeah, I like that. It's that UCLA cut, and I like the fact that they're going to try to establish Brown maybe on the low post. They got that big size advantage of Jontel Evans. Let's see if they go back to that. Here's Harris. Zaglinski hesitant at the 3. Harris takes it baseline, kicks it back to Mitchell. Scott gets the rebound right over top of Howell. This is a challenge now. Pulls up for the jumper. And Wood comes away with it. This is for 3. Another NC State turnover. That's 7 turnovers for NC State. Well, these two are really going at it down in the low post. The referee's letting them play, which I like. It is very physical between Howell and Mike Scott. Tournament time, partner. Let them play. Absolutely. Harris into Scott. Looks for the basket, go to the line and shoot 2. The foul is on Howell. That's his 3rd. So that now becomes a big factor in this ball game. Yeah, well, and it's just like he has all year. Mike Scott really fights for his position down low. Mike Scott, 81% free throw shooter. Makes the first. ACC leader in points and rebounds. Almost 1,500 points, over 1,500 now. Rebounds, 925. The thing about him and Zaglinski, too, another little subtle thing, they're 5th-year seniors, so because of injuries, but there's that extra year of maturity, and you like to have those guys as leaders on your team. Mike Scott now in double figures. Brown for 3. Yeah, really nice job moving basketball. Jontel Evans lost his footing that time and slipped down. That gave Brown a wide open look. And Lorenzo Brown gives State a 42-38 lead. Evans on the baseline. Boy, what a tough shot. Back out front to Lorenzo. Harris went out with him and he felt, hey, this is my chance. He tried to blow by him. And the foul. Lorenzo Brown, all 6 points here in the second half for NC State. If you're a guard and you see a bigger player on you, your eyes light up and you know you can take him off the dribble. And the turnover. Evans will try to take it at the hoop. And there's Mike Scott to clean it up, and he'll get one more. Great hustle by Mike Scott.
Wolfpack foul on number 21, C.J. Williams. That's his third team foul. There's a timeout on the floor.
The foul is on C.J. Williams, the bucket by Scott.
North Carolina State up by 2, and we'll show you an example of this UCLA cut. Lorenzo Brown is going to come here. C.J. Williams is going to pull. C.J. Leslie will come up and set the screen here, and then Lorenzo Brown will work off and get it into the low box. Watch this play unfold. And this again using his size at 6'5". Evans a lot shorter, and I like that play getting him into the low post.
I'm still trying to get over Santa Claus here, pulling for NC State. Up in the stands, Mike Scott will go to the line here.
Substitution number 3.
He did a terrific job chasing that play down, not giving up on it.
And he makes it a one-point game. Mike Scott doing everything he can. He's got 13 points. Sammy Zaglinski's the guy who's been very quiet today. He's only got 2 points.
Had 4 threes in the win at Raleigh.
They've done a nice job on it. They put bigger guys on him to take the 3 away. And Leslie right to the hoop. Well, when he puts his mind to it, he's hard to stop. That's his first bucket of the second half. And 5 for 5 in the first half.
Especially with his quickness, Akil Mitchell having a tough time. Does not want to go and defend him with a live dribble.
Joe Harris got caught in the air. Again, Scott bails him out. This is going to be offensive on Mike Scott. His first personal.
And he should have read the defense that time because he had an open shooter out on the wing. And there are a lot of bodies around him. But right there, it's the lowering of the shoulder. He had 4 red jerseys around him. You can't force things through. You've got to kick the ball out.
So the Wolfpack will try to extend their lead.
Clear out for Leslie.
Good job by Mitchell. Again, they try to get him to go down the lane. Pull-up jumper, air ball. And that'll get John Tell out on the transition. Zaglinski's first 3 attempt. Johnson will push it the other way. And Leslie banks it in. He'll go to the... Thought he was fouled. He wasn't. It's just a 2-pointer.
Yeah, I wondered about that for Alex Johnson. He had it was a 1-on-4 break, and he took it anyway. But the pursuit from behind gets the offensive rebound.
I think Leslie came away shaking his head. Mitchell with the cleanup.
Basket by Akil Mitchell.
So Akil Mitchell in double figures. It's going to be this way the rest of the game. These two teams have battled back and forth, stayed close from the get-go. Biggest lead was 6 by Virginia, 8 by the Wolfpack.
All right, here's the look, and Alex Johnson's very quick with the basketball, trying to draw contact there, but Painter and C.J. Leslie staying with it.
Foul is on Joe Harris. That's his second. And so State brings it in. Kick it out to Johnson. $13.5 to play. Winner moves on to play North Carolina.
Wolfpack foul on number 15, Scott.
Foul is on Scott Wood. Hey, ACC fans, make sure you add the ACC Sports app on Facebook. It's the best way to watch the latest in the ACC tournament analysis, highlights, breaking news. It's got it all for you, all while sharing with your friends and getting after your rivals. Search ACC Sports, Facebook.
As we talked about it, Virginia last few possessions really trying to get Zaglinski some touches and get him into some sort of rhythm offensively.
Entry pass into Mike Scott. They double down on him. He turns, tries to bank it in with a power move, and it comes back out. He's working.
Yeah, no, he couldn't believe that one didn't go down.
Zaglinski extends the defense way out on Johnson. 10 on the shot clock. Mitchell doing a nice job, and Leslie stepped on the line. 9 turnovers for the Pack.
Well, what they do is they denied the wing, and that's what disallowed the UCLA cut. And you see the step out right there. The baseline is a best defender because it's always there, and he just did a nice job sealing off the drive and leading him out of bounds.
Gotta wonder, Mike, how this starting 5 for Virginia is holding up. They've gone the entire way. Jesperson, one of the few subs we've seen all afternoon, and he has it taken away by Williams. It's a short bench.
Just on call, yeah. And, you know, the timeouts are a little bit longer, and they're used to, you know, I think with a timeout every 4 minutes now with TV, that certainly helps the cause. And this is their first game, so they should have fresh legs. You know, tomorrow, Sunday, may be an issue, but I don't think it is today.
Mike Scott calling for the ball. Working against Painter, the jumper, and he puts it down. 15 points for Mike Scott. Timeout. Cavaliers with 11:45 to play, and it's a 3-point game.
Those are those live ball turnovers out front that you have no recourse.
This is one of the most competitive ACC regular seasons that we've seen, and now into the tournament we see the same intensity. You had 42 games decided by 5 or fewer points this year, and in this tournament that intensity's been carried in by the teams that have to advance. Let's go over to Debbie.
Well, guys, Mike Scott, when I spoke to him on Wednesday at practice, I asked him to grade his performance because he's a first-team All-ACC performer, and he was considered a Player of the Year candidate. He said, I'm giving myself a B- or a C+ because of my defensive effort and attention to detail, and he didn't think he played well in the North Carolina game. Well, that was 3 games ago. Since then, in the last 2 games, he's been to the free throw line more in the last 2 games than he had in the previous 8, and you can see he is paying attention to detail, and he's made some great hustle plays tonight.
All right, Debbie, the lead now extended by Williams to 5. Just over 11 minutes to play.
You touched on that, Tim, and 21% of the games in the conference came down to the last possession, and this one may fall into both of those categories.
Outside to Zaglinski. Inside to the man that's making things happen. Scott, step back. Yes.
Well, he's getting his points, but he's having to take a lot of shots. 17 points, but 16 field goal attempts, so his shooting percentage not great. You know, the great players are going to get theirs, but if they have to take a high volume of shots, it's to your advantage. So NC State, I think, probably happy with that number.
Cavaliers now need a stop. Wolfpack been very efficient here with the basketball. They get it to Painter for the open jumper.
Sean Painter has been a central figure for NC State with Richard Howell in foul trouble in this game. He's had to step up. The responsibility is his to guard Scott.
Sure gives him a big body. They double down on Scott every time he touches it.
Well, if he had handled that cleanly, he probably could have gotten a shot off.
And good hustle by Jesperson. After he missed the shot, he knocks it out of bounds at the other end and stops the transition. Mike Scott averages 18 points. They are trying to get back to the title game and take that trophy back to Charlottesville.
Mike Scott doing all he can to get the Cavaliers in this game. Has really worked hard for his position inside. Has scored a lot off of face-up jump shots. 17 points total for him, 6 rebounds. He's gotten on the offensive glass, and a win today, Tim, would get Virginia to the semis. They've got the longest drought in the ACC of not getting there, have not been to the Saturday game since 1995.
Wow. Well, Tony Bennett certainly believes they've got a chance, but we told you about the problems they've had this year, and they've got an extremely short bench. Mitchell with 10 points, 9 rebounds has also been a factor this afternoon. He only averages 3 and 4.
Since that 4-point play at the end of the half, Scott Wood has not had many touches in this half. No points so far in the first 10.5 minutes.
It's going to be called away from the ball. Harris and Williams are really banging and bumping and grinding. It's a 3 on Harris.
That's his third. 15 fouls.
Virginia, no points from the bench today, which we talked about earlier.
Well, you look at it, I mean, both teams are, you know, NC State's gotten a little help, but they're really starter-centric, too, as far as where their offense comes from.
That's a 3 ball by Lorenzo Brown.
4th 3 of the game for NC State, putting a little pressure on Virginia there. They've only had 1.
9.5 minutes to play. Harris left alone beyond the arc, and he can't get his. Boy, he had a good look.
Got a good screen that time. Defender got hung up a little bit on it.
Wolfpack trying to match their largest lead of the game. Here's Howe for 2. He draws iron, and Harris with a rebound.
Boy, if you're Tony Bennett, you want Richard Howell taking jump shots instead of working down in the low post.
All day long. Scott working on Howe. Howe knocks it away. Wolfpack will run. This is Williams beyond the arc. Mike Scott gives a rise mile as he comes back down. He didn't like what happened down that trip. Zaglinski. They're getting wide open shots, Mike. Under 8 minutes to play. Leslie's looking at the baseline, and that's where he goes. Leslie gets the roll. He'll go to the line for one more, and NC State starting to feel it.
Yeah, they're really running their half-court offense pretty well. They got the switch, and it puts Scott on C.J. Leslie.
55-47. We'll return after these messages from your local ACC station.
Let's revisit our AT&T fast analysis and its points in the paint, which NC State's dominating 32-20. C.J. Leslie having an outstanding game, 16 points, 12 rebounds for him, Tim. And over the last 2 weeks of the season, the regular season, I don't know if there's anybody playing at a higher level than him.
No, I agree. And as you mentioned, 5 for 5 in that first half, Mike, and he was really scoring at will. He got the 2 fouls and really got a little bit shy at that point. And I think at halftime they told him to get back after it. So here he is, C.J. Leslie at the line. He's got those 16 points Mike talked about, and he's a 62% free throw shooter. That's the point where he's really struggled, is at the line this year. He's 0 for 3 today. Under 7.5 to play. Pretty soon, time's going to become a factor where these players will feel it in a tournament, that they're running out of time. Dontel Evans gets it back to Mitchell. Scott gets it back.
And Joe Harris really making that play, keeping the ball alive. They gave the whole right side to Mike Scott to work, and he settled for the jump shot.
He's been calling for the ball this entire half. You look at the scoring drought.
They had a similar one in the first half too.
Harris with the bucket.
That's a tough play because his left hand is all bandaged up. He goes left and finishes with the jump shot. I didn't think he could make that play with his hand that way.
That was a 2-pointer. Virginia just 1 of 9 beyond the arc. Back to Brown. Harris doing a nice job on Williams. Shot clock at 10. He backs Jontel Williams down, or Jontel Evans back. Ball's loose. Leslie comes away with it. Wood from beyond the arc. Splash!
That's the type of play that wins tournament games. What C.J. Leslie just did there, outfought everybody for that 50-50 ball. And as a result, Scott Wood gets the best look he's had in the second half.
Oh, it got physical.
Again, this is a 50-50 ball. It's up for grabs right now. Gil Mitchell has played very, very well in this game, but there you see the defense is all scattered. They completely lost track of where Scott Wood was. That is a huge turnaround.
And it's the largest lead of the game for NC State. Let's take a look at our Hyundai trip around the Atlantic Coast Conference. Earlier today, North Carolina, big over Maryland.
Yeah, Virginia Tech a big win against Clemson last night, and they gave Duke all they wanted at Cameron, take them to overtime before they lost by 5, and then big implications in the second game with Florida State and Miami. Those teams splitting during the regular season.
Yeah, that's always a good old-fashioned Donnybrook when those two get together. Under 6 minutes to play here. Zaglinski, Mike Scott banks it in.
Love that little jump hook. Zaglinski made that happen with the dribble drive.
Mike Scott with 19 points. Lead back to 7. Leslie loses it.
And that close to the basket, pretty tough to put it on the deck against this Virginia team. They are very good at clamping in.
Harris dumps it off to Scott, but it's a block, and Harris is fouled. Foul will be on Painter.
I get the feeling he didn't like that call too much.
No, and he and Brian Kersey had a few words. Brian settled him down. So they'll get him out of the ball game. They'll bring in Richard Howell again. Big body for big body. Harris. And he's fouled. It'll be a 3-point free throw trip.
Well, that was going to be a tough shot to convert. Why foul him? Again, I go back to that injury. When you put Harris at the line, he can get the ball set. He has a better chance of making free throws than he does that jump shot.
And Joe Harris misses, which is rare for him. He's a 76% free throw shooter. Came into this game, he had hit 61 of his 78 for the year. He's 4 of 6 today. Got his legs under him that time.
A couple of big defensive possessions for UVA coming up. They have not let NC State really extend. That 7-point lead was the biggest one they've had, and they're starting to reel them back in now.
Joe Harris cuts the lead to 5. Under 5 minutes we go. Leslie with a really tough shot. How about the afternoon he's having with 18 points?
Yeah, really patient on that play, too. As he was putting the ball down, just kind of surveying things. No double team was coming.
18 points, 13 rebounds for Leslie. Joe Harris has his shot blocked. John Tell gets it back. In the corner for Harris. Yes! 16 for Harris.
Those are the balls that you have to come up with. NC State got the block on the play, but Virginia was able to recover, and they get a 3 as a result.
Oh, nice look by Leslie. Williams' shot is short. Cavaliers trail by 4. But this is a nice little run by the Wahoos. Scott. That looked like a tired shot.
And he got a decent look, too.
Ball still loose. Possession arrow belongs to the Cavaliers. .3:27 left to play. 60-56. Virginia will have the ball. You are watching the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. And a reminder that all games and post-game press conferences are streaming live at theacc.com.
Well, let's take a look at NC State's last 4 baskets. Start out with Lorenzo Brown knocking down the 3. C.J. Leslie going to work down in the low post against Mike Scott. Then the nice kick out on this after the offensive rebound to see Scott Wood, and then Leslie again. They've been working well in the half court, but they have not been able to separate from UVA.
They built their largest lead of the game, 9 points, but since that time, Cavaliers have gone on a 7-2 run, and they've got the ball here. Get it into Scott. Scott strong to the hoop.
Well, he's shown a nice ability to go either way. They cut off their coming back to the right hook, and he took what the defense gave him and went right to the front of the rim.
Under 3 minutes to play. The winner moves on to play Carolina. Williams took a look at it. Zaglinski jumped out on Wood. Back inside they go to Leslie. Shot clock at 7. Oh, how about that shot?
Yeah, tough finish inside. And Virginia committed right now. I mean, it's an all-out double team on C.J. Leslie. They're going to make somebody else beat them, and Howell comes up big.
Howell went right over Scott, who defended him well. And again, they go into Scott. Scott is fouled. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. Hey, ACC fans, how would you like to win a Myrtle Beach golf vacation every month for a year? For you and a friend. Plus a chance to play around with PGA Tour Pro Dustin Johnson. Just text golf to 88222 or go to golfholiday.com for your chance to win.
He tees off in Myrtle Beach, but the ball goes to Conway.
He does hit a long way, doesn't he? Pretty good numbers. He's a terrific player.
Probably shot a lower percentage than he would have cared to, but he's playing with a lot of urgency as a 5th-year senior in his last ACC tournament.
He's carried the load, and he has been beaten up pretty good today. All the big men in this game have had to fight for everything they've gotten. It's been physical, it's been fair, and it's close. Coming up tonight, starting at 7 o'clock, more quarterfinal action. Eric Green and 10th-seeded Virginia Tech take on the number 2 seed Duke with Rookie of the Year and first-team All-ACC guard Austin Rivers. Then in the nightcap, a rematch of 6th-seeded Miami and the number 3 seed Florida State. Seminoles' Michael Snare has had a few late game heroics, so you never know what will happen. Stay tuned to the ACC Network tonight. A couple of really good games coming your way. TheACC.com if you need more information, but it's all right here for you. Pretty good games coming up this evening. This game right here coming down to the wire, Mike.
Yeah, I think, again, Virginia has reeled NC State back in. An important possession coming out of the timeout right now. Double teaming Leslie. Let's see if that's a consistent thing for the rest of the game and who can step up and make plays.
NC State's largest lead was 9. It's down to 2. You see the time remaining. Here's Leslie left alone, and boy, left alone for a split second, then a huge collision.
And Bill Mitchell went down hard on that play. It looks like he's going to be able to recover. But this is what you like to avoid the double team, flash across the lane, catch and make a quick move. That is a well-designed play by Mark Gottfried coming out of the timeout.
Foul on Joe Harris when Leslie turned around and spun. He thought right there he's alone, and then those two defenders flew at him. Harris picks up the personal. Leslie will have to earn it at the free throw stripe. 0 for 3. Pretty good stroke right there.
Well, just in the constant theme, he left the first 3 really short. He finally got the ball up to the rim and gave it a chance.
Akeel Mitchell with a big rebound. Kick it out. This is Evans. Not even close.
Only at 12 3-point attempts on the year coming into the game. It was a good find, but your Mark Gottfried, you take your chances with Evans shooting threes.
Got to ride your horse down the stretch here. Mike Scott's got to be the guy. Trying to make it a 2-possession game. They find Howell underneath, and Howell is fouled.
It looked like Mike Scott that time lost Howell. He was so zeroed in on what C.J. Leslie was going to do, ready to help on the drive. It was a good throw over the top, and Richard Howell has made some big plays in the last couple of minutes.
Richard Howell on the line, shooting 2.
Foul was on Sammy Zaglinski. Closed captioning for ACC basketball provided by Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. It's Bo time. Right now it's Howell time. Still a 1-possession game.
If NC State doesn't seal the deal in this game, they have to look no farther than the free throw line.
Oh, I agree with you.
Leaving a lot of points there. 4 of 12.
This timeout will be a full timeout. We saw Tony Bennett say it was a full. You look at the fouls, almost to the double bonus. Timeouts left. NC State has 3. Possession arrow belongs to NC State.
Let's see, Tim, how this plays out. I mean, you got to think that the ball is going to go in the hands of Mike Scott during this possession, but maybe Zaglinski has been really quiet so far. Maybe time for the other 5th-year senior to step up and make a shot.
I agree with you. You know, we were just talking about Sammy Zaglinski has yet to make a 3 in this ball game, and that's what Virginia counts on. I mean,
yeah, 0-3. We talked about he was 4 or 5 in that first game.
He's 5th in UVA history with 198 career threes and not one here today. Mike, you said it would come down to the last possession. We've got 65 seconds left. It's still a 3-point game.
Yeah, it's amazing with Virginia, with what they have out on the floor. They just play so hard, especially at the defensive end, and they give themselves a chance to win games in the last minute.
Every trip now becomes important. Under a minute to play.
Nice job of Leslie fighting Scott for position that time, getting the deflection.
Jontel Evans looked a little shy when he got it beyond the arc after what happened in his last possession. Back to Scott. Harris. They've got Wood on Zaglinski. Down to Mike Scott. Little jump hook. And NC State comes away with it. 35 seconds left. And the foul immediately.
And calling for it, Lorenzo Brown was not going to give that ball up. 75% from the free throw line for him.
This is where Mike was talking about. NC State has struggled at the line today. Just 4 of 12. Lorenzo Brown, a 74% free throw shooting. He's 2 for 4 today. Two-possession game.
Yep. That was the hard one. And I don't think it really doesn't matter which order you get it in for if you're NC State or if you're for Virginia. If you get to a 5-point lead, if you get an easy 2 right away, then you take that and extend the game.
Missed the second. Here come the Cavaliers. 30 seconds left. And the foul. And that'll stop the clock. That's exactly what NC State did not want. The foul is on C.J. Williams. That's 4 personals. And so with 25.3 seconds left, Harris will try to pick up 2 here without the clock moving.
Now, really, if you're NC State and if you assume that he makes these 2 free throws, you want to get it into Wood's hands or Lorenzo Brown or C.J. Williams, all very good free throw shooters.
Back to a 1-possession game. Harris has another one. Joe Harris, 6'6", 211-pound sophomore. Makes them both.
Well, they're going to get Howell out, and they're going to get another good free throw shooter and then a ball handler in the form of Alex Johnson.
Harris goes out of the game. Jesperson comes back in for Virginia. And timeout NC State.
Timeout, Wolfpack. 30-second timeout.
25.3 left.
ACC basketball has been brought to you by Geico, by AT&T, by Nissan, by BB&T, and by Food Line.
So you see the time remaining. 1-possession game, just as you said.
Yeah, I mean, the most important guy right now for State is the guy inbounding the ball. You got to keep that count in your head. They've still got timeouts to work with if they can't get it in, and they've got their best free throw shooters out on the floor. So C.J. Leslie, who's the worst free throw shooter out there, is going to get that responsibility.
Virginia, the number 4 seed. NC State, the number 5 seed. The winner moves on to play North Carolina. Zaglinski reaches around, is called for the foul.
And he was thinking right there. I mean, you know, Scott Wood's one of the best free throw shooters in the country.
Right.
And NC State did a nice job to get him the ball.
Scott Wood, 92% from the free throw line. He's 1 for 1 this afternoon. Well, he makes the free throw. Wood now with 8 points. He averages 12. Cavaliers have done a nice job defending him today and taking the 3-ball away. Misses the second. Wow. 1-possession game. They need a 3. Harris had a great look. And Brown will go to the line to foul on Harris, but that might do it.
On there to the coaching staff for NC State trying to corral their guys. Went into a little celebration right there, but that was a great look behind. Akil Mitchell has played a terrific game, and that's as good a look as you're going to get. He just came up short.
Tony knew it too. Just pinched it slightly off the front rim. Harris with 5 personal fouls now, so he leaves the game disqualified. Terrific game. Harris had 18 points, but missed that last one that could have tied the game.
Yeah, and right now for NC State, just all you need to do is knock down one of these and make it a 2-possession game. Bobby Lutz giving Lorenzo Brown a little neck massage there to loosen him up.
He's still celebrating. He must not have seen Mark Gottfried. Don't forget tonight, Virginia Tech and Duke. That's always a good game. Miami, Florida State, good old-fashioned in-state brawl, and it's going to be a terrific night here at the 59th annual ACC Tournament. 18,371 here to watch these games. Atlantic Coast Conference, great tradition. This tournament's the granddaddy of them all.
Number 2, Lorenzo Brown.
So Lorenzo Brown will go to the line. Still a one-possession game. He's got to knock these down. 7.2 seconds left. And that should lock it up.
Yeah, now the Tony Bennett now wants to see.
He tried to take the timeout before the first free throw.
That's their last timeout.
Let's go over to Debbie.
Well, guys, one of the things Coach Godfrey talked to us about was dangling the carrot in front of his guys in terms of postseason, knowing coming into this tournament that it was imperative that they played well and got 2 wins. Well, if they can get this win right here, G-Man, you think this might do it for NC State and put him in the NCAA tournament off the bubble?
Yeah, well, it's certainly, Deb, it's a big win. It'd be their first win against a top 50 RPI team. Gets them into the semifinals of the ACC tournament. You know, a good showing against North Carolina, or a win certainly would seal the deal. But I think this was a bigger game, a more important win for NC State than it would have been for Virginia.
NC State beat Boston College yesterday. Come in here today and beat the number 4 seed Virginia Cavaliers. Of course, still got 7.2 seconds left. Brown, 11 second half points, trying to add to that tally here.
No fouls for the Wolfpack.
Big smiles on the Wolfpack.
And I like this. I mean, Alex Johnson's going to come up, and they're not going to let the ball come in and just let them run the ball up the floor.
Zaglinski's got a fire. He gets the 2.4 seconds left, and that'll do it. 67-64. NC State moves on. And how about that matchup? NC State and North Carolina.
Yeah, and it's you know, again, the huge in-state rival. I did the game in Raleigh. They won both, and so it should be a great game tomorrow.
Let's go over to Mike Hogwood.
All right, Corey, it sets up State Carolina. All right, it's been a great day today. North Carolina, NC State are winners. We're ready for tonight. Virginia Tech, Duke, Miami, Florida State. For our entire crew, I'm Mike Hogwood. You've been watching exclusive coverage of ACC basketball on the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. We'll see you tonight at 7 from here in Atlanta.